It's showtime, baby. Let's go. Woo!
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole, or J Ice, as Corey Dillon likes to call me. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view, right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of my brand new tailgate. We are getting closer and closer to getting more information out to you, but it is happening each and every Sunday at the Moline Lager House. Join me and former Bengals. I know they're going to be there. I don't know who right now, but I know they're going to be there. There is going to be a fee to get in. Portions of the proceeds go to the charity chosen of that week, but you get delicious Moline food, delicious Moline beer, access to their bourbon room, and just access to an exciting time. How much fun we have on the show? We're going to have that much fun or more on Sundays. Plus, Tuesday nights, I will be there live with my Monday show. We're moving to Tuesdays. It's going to be me, Corey, and Cap. We're going to be there, and who knows, maybe we'll have some extra guests live in studio. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot freaking wait. We're getting close to football season, but go check out Moline Lager House for all their delicious food and beer. I highly, highly recommend it. Now, if you're looking for chicken wings, I love chicken wings. Now, I'm a West Side boy. This is the East Side restaurant. I will drive my happy ass 45 minutes out there to get me some Uno wings, some G-Funk, some pulled pork sandwich. Anything that Tim and Nicole make is delicious. So please, trust me. Go out to Midwest Best. Tell them Ice sent you. Also, if you guys are looking for windows and doors, please check out Meyer, windows and doors and more, at www.meyercincinnati.com. And you can actually meet Matty Myers, the inventor of the Jackpot Joey trademark. You can see the Jackpot Joey mobile, and you can talk football, and you can say some nice windows. I got it on my house. You should get them in yours. Also, my West Side peeps, check out Hail Mary's, your ticket to the game. This jewel in Cheviot. Free parking, beer specials, food trucks, big-ass TV screen. It's a great time. Please go check out Hail Mary's. What is up to everybody in the chat? We got a big bunch of people in there. We got Brad in there. Brad, you're awesome. I'm glad you're always here. He says go Bearcats. So we're about to talk about Bearcats right here. We just got done. Well, I didn't get done. Neil just got done with Big 12 Media Day. The Bearcats are starting their second season in the Big 12. Last year, football season didn't go the way we all had hoped. This year, we're hoping for better stuff. And the man who's got the latest information, like I say, he just got back, had a great time there, told me some stories that we're not going to share on the air, but other stuff he can tell me. Let's get to Neil. What up, Neil?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good. Sound like you had a fun time there at the Big 12 Media Day.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great time out there in Vegas. Took some time away to kind of relax a little bit before all heck broke loose there on Tuesday and Wednesday from Allegiant Stadium, where all 16 teams came together for the first time in conference history since basically the whole new conference realignment started in college football. So it was a busy last few days, but overall glad to be back in Cincinnati, feet back here getting ready for fall camp.
Exactly. Now, how many teams are they adding again this year? So how many total teams are in the Big 12 now?
So they added Utah, Arizona, Arizona State, and Colorado to the Big 12 this year, making the total of 16 teams as well. So right up there with the Big 10, who ultimately has 18 teams as well in the Big 10. So conference realignment is starting to really kind of change the landscape of college football, to say the least.
Exactly, and they had the Pac-12 with two teams.
Yep.
I think there's still a conference with two teams. I don't know how you're a conference with two teams, but that's the way. The one thing that I found interesting that you tweeted out, and I thought this for years when Deion Sanders primetime was playing for Cincinnati Reds, he wanted to play for the Bengals. He wanted to play in the same city. He loves Cincinnati. And I'm like, I kept saying, like, damn it, I knew it. that was an interesting thing. He actually got to, he admitted that and talked about how much he loves the city of Cincinnati.
Yeah, that was really cool to hear because obviously he spent 4 separate seasons playing for the Reds, obviously starting in 1995 to 97, 99, and 2001. So overall, the thought process was always probably there in the back of his mind, whether he could be a two-sport athlete for the hometown Cincinnati Reds and Bengals. It would have been very exciting to see. But overall, it was great to hear him say about how much the city of Cincinnati means to him. Obviously, you look at his coaching staff now. They just hired Robert Livingston from the Cincinnati Bengals. Mike Zimmer is also a very good friend as well. So there a lot of Cincinnati ties to Dion outside of the city. They're in Boulder, Colorado. But it was just great to see him go down memory lane and talk about what Cincinnati meant to him as well.
So if the Bearcats fire Satterfield, then Dion will want to come here and coach, right?
Man, I don't know about all that one.
I don't know either. All right, let's get to Sat. And his first year as UC's head football coach did not go so hot. We got a new quarterback this year, new players. What, like I said, I'll bring up Brad's question here. There you go. And, he says, Neil, why do you feel Satterfield should or should not be on the hot seat? So basically, that's the biggest question. I think, is this a make or break year for Satterfield because of how bad last year went?
I don't think so. And the reason I think that is because obviously coming into year one, he came in late in December. I think the official hire came on like December 22nd of 2022. Mm-hmm. So obviously at that point, your winter transfer portal is basically closed.
Done. Right.
And then that happens. And then you have to go build a brand new roster. You have people coming and going and leaving. But the transfer portal nowadays is wild. But since Scott Satterfield has taken over, I believe if I recall the number correct after my research, 63 or 65 of the 85 to 90 players on this roster are all newcomers to Cincinnati. They weren't here 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. These are all guys. They brought in 47 new scholarship players this past season. Just this offseason alone, whether that's the high school recruiting ranks and the transfer portal. So you're looking at 47 new additions this season. And then the season prior, they had to go out and they had to rebuild there in the transfer portal as well. But overall, he's even said it himself, and anybody who's known it in college football, you need at least 3 years to build up a program and get your coaching staff adjusted because look at the guys that Scott Satterfield had on this coaching staff. He had the Colts tight end coach on staff at one point. He was on staff here in Cincinnati, 2 feet on the ground, then gets an offer to go coach tight ends with the Colts. He goes to the NFL. You lose Brian Brown to the SEC. You also lose another coach to the SEC. So overall, coaches are getting poached left and right for the SEC, the NFL. If those kind of jobs are opening up for the guys that Scott Satterfield is hiring, that means he's doing something right. Now, on the player aspect of things, you're looking at some of the guys he's bringing in. He's bringing in guys with experience and guys who are ready to compete right now. Not only compete right now, but guys who represent the CPAW very well. And the guys that they want to really build their foundation and core values a lot. And we heard it from Luke Kandra out there in Las Vegas was the camaraderie of this team heading into year 2 under Scott Satterfield is much different compared to year 1 because he said last year there were some guys kind of arguing and kind of turning their heads on each other. But Scott Satterfield also noted as well, Jeff, that this team had to find a way to be more disciplined this season going into the 2024 season. He said last season there were probably 4 or 5 games that they just didn't stay disciplined enough, and that ultimately costed the games, which if you go back and watch the tape, I think it's kind of easy to say that there were some games that should have been won. Some come to mind were the Miami of Ohio game. Oh, God, Baylor was one of them. They were right in there with Oklahoma. BYU on the road was another game they were up.
They had that game. Yeah, you're bringing back bad memories now. But, yeah, I agree. There's lots of games last year that they should have, could have won. So, I mean, I don't. And the thing is, I am not one that sits there and says that Satterfield has got to go. I was very disappointed with the way the season went last year, but I do agree with you. You got to give him at least 3 years. Now, with that being said, and people, let's put it out there real quick because everybody keeps asking me about the Godfather. How's his blood clot situation going? Let's put that out there real quick.
Yeah. So Scott Satterfield actually gave an update prior to him taking the stage at Big 12 Media Days. So we were over there standing, kind of listening to the BYU radio on TV where he gave the first initial update where he said Dante Corleone is actually back working out with the team despite almost 2 weeks after the announcement came out that he was out indefinitely due to the blood clots. But roughly it's been about a month time frame. They said there's still a lot of things that they are trying to figure out, whether that is next steps in terms of heading into fall camp, whether it's going to be the next appointment and whatnot. But it's a positive update, Jeff, to see that he is back in the weight room, back working out with the team, because obviously anytime you hear the word blood clots in your lungs, it's much bigger than football. It's much bigger than that. So people are thinking about this young man's health outside of football and what could be a healthier lifestyle for him to continue going down the road. So obviously to hear that things are trending in the right step just 11 days after the initial announcement, to hear he's back kind of with the team doing some stuff. Obviously he hasn't touched a pad yet. I don't think we see him touch pads until some more appointments come down. It might even be after fall camp, but nobody for real knows what the next step is. But we spoke to Derek Canteen, the safety transfer from Virginia Tech. Said he saw Dante in the weight room on Monday, and he was all smiles ear to ear. So that's a positive update that he's back around the team, and everybody knows the kind of guy Dante is here in the Cincinnati community. But for us who got to know him on a personal level, he's one of those kids who was just always down to earth. He's all about Cincinnati. Now, it's not just Cincinnati University. He's about this city. Whatever he can do to get around this city and help out, volunteer, whatever it is in the community, Dante Corleone is the guy, and he's a terrific human being. So once we all heard the news, we were kind of worrisome. We reached out to him and really just sent our thoughts and prayers. But now to hear that he's already back working out is a terrific sign for Cincinnati football fans, for sure.
Exactly. And the first word I heard about it was Dan Horde was saying it on Mike Petraglia's Jungle Horror podcast. Asked that same thing, that Dan Horde believes that Dante Corleone will play at some point in this season because things are trending in the right direction. Now, that doesn't mean things could go backwards. They could, but right now things are trending in the right direction. But there is no timetable for him to come back, but there's a better chance of him playing this year than not playing at all. So that's good for him because, let's be honest, Corleone could have left to got money in the SEC, Big Ten, and he didn't. Or he could have left and went to the NFL. He didn't. He wanted to stay here. So when I found out he had a blood clot and things were not looking too good for him, I felt, one, fearful for his life because I wanted to have a normal life. Second of all, I'm like, man, did he blow his opportunity? But I'm glad that he everything seems like it's going good in the right direction. And those are guys like that are ones that you want to build a program around. Like you just said, he's not only just the University of Cincinnati, he loves this city. That's what you want in a team leader. So that's why I'm glad he's coming back. So good news on that front. Now let's move on to
noting too, Jeff, that Dante Corleone was one of the guys alongside Corey Kiner when Scott Satterfield got hired. Dante Corleone and Corey Kiner spent so much time in the office that people in Scott Satterfield's office when he first got hired that people don't really know much about this. That Scott Satterfield had to tell him to kind of get out and say, hey, they were trying to get to know their new head coach, but they were in there really bought in, trying to buy into what Scott Satterfield is doing. And there's a lot bigger reasons for Dante to come back. Obviously, he had the second to fourth round grade is what they kind of had him as this offseason. But for him to come back, he knew that there was unfinished business. Despite all the accolades and everything, he wanted to run it back maybe one more time. He still has 2 years left if he really wants it.
Right.
But he's electing to run it back because he knows the unfinished business that is left there after the disappointment from last season. But overall, everybody knows Dante Corleone and the presence he brings. But overall, I'll say right now, Jeff, that Dante Corleone and Corey Kiner were probably two of the guys that really embraced the coaching change and are terrific team leaders and representatives for this program at the University of Cincinnati. But Scott Satterfield also noted that there is high hope that he will be able to hit the field at one point this season and perform at a high level, he even said. So hopefully that's a positive update. But once again, it's the bigger things aside is that he's fully healthy, and that's the main thing. Well, not fully healthy, but back to some kind of normalcy after a scary health incident. Right,
exactly. All right, so let's talk about Sat. What was what is his statement that he was said at the Big 12 media, and what is the they always have a phrase or philosophy for this year moving forward. Has Scott Satterfield come out with that yet? Did he say anything like that at the Big 12 media day?
Yeah, I think he said the biggest thing for this season was that he made sure like every player knew that this offseason wasn't going to be an easy offseason because of the taste that they had last season. But you look at what they did in the transfer portal, I think it's kind of safe to say, like, you look at the defensive back room, Jeff, there's only one returner from a season ago that actually saw significant time in Jordan Young, who's going to be, assuming, going to be playing the boundary corner position. But you're looking in, you go out, you get a new defensive coordinator in Tyson Veit. So that was a big-time hire. They're going to run a new defensive scheme in the 3-3-5. So it's essentially 3 safeties and 2 cornerbacks. So it's going to allow the linebackers to kind of do a lot of different things there, whether that's rush the quarterback, get downhill and attack, or drop into coverage. So it's going to be real interesting to see that. But one of the biggest things that Scott Satterfield really said at media days, Jeff, was talking about the offseason, about how hard this offseason was. And he really kind of opened up and said, no matter what, that this offseason was, they needed to be more disciplined. And for them to be disciplined, they had to start there in the weight room. He gave a lot of praise to the staff the job that Nico Palizzetti and this staff has done here in the offseason. But the question was at Big 12 Media Days, the players had mentioned this all season how difficult the training program and everything else has been off the field. How has the disappointment of last season helped with the culture shift that you and your staff continue to implement? And Satterfield's response was, it was huge. We won some games last year and had pretty good success. Probably wouldn't have been as difficult as it has been this year because the guys really demanded it. Our coaches, strength staff, and everybody wanted this offseason. We knew it needed to be the hardest thing for us as a program. We were not a very disciplined football team last year, and it cost us games. We implemented an offseason program, was the most difficult offseason program that I have ever seen and been through, and our players will attest to that. Hopefully that translates to more success on the field. I know what it has done. It has made our guys tougher. Mentally, it's brought them together. And to me, when you bring in that many new players, it needed to be that way. And the guys that came back from last year, they hated the feeling in the locker room and don't want to taste that feeling ever again. So I think it's strong motivation for our team this offseason. So I think that was the biggest quote that really stood out to me from what happened at Big 12 Media Days.
Yeah, I second that. I hated last year because there's so many games that were so close to winning and we just didn't. And they always say you never want to be the guy that follows the guy. Well, the guy was Fick. Fick left, went to Wisconsin, and you don't be that guy to follow him because Fick. We had the most successful era of Bearcat football ever when Fick was here. So it's always hard to replace the guy. With that being said, the quarterback play for the Bearcats was not very good last year. We do have a new starting quarterback transferred in from Indiana, if I'm correct on that. What's your thoughts on the new quarterback and this quarterback play in general, the quarterback room in general?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that as of right now, it's probably Brendan Sorsby's job to lose. But Scott Satterfield did allude to it at Big 12 Media Days that this is going to be a competition that probably goes through the later half of camp. And for anybody who has covered the program over the last few years and has been 2 feet in at Camp Higher Ground, this is kind of something we have heard all throughout season. And overall spring, it kind of was Brendan Sorsby still learning the playbook. I know when we spoke to him, he said his confidence level with the playbook was at a 6 to a 7, but he was still looking on some things to improve on. But you still return a guy like Brady Lichtenberg, who saw some time last season. He's going to compete for a starting job. And then you have the 4-star true freshman Samaj Jones out of Philadelphia, who is a Jalen Hurts prototype. If you look at everything that he has done on film, 6'3", 220 pounds, dual threat kind of guy. And man, after what we saw from him in spring, Jeff, it's safe to say that there's a reason this staff was very highly on Samaj Jones. I mean, he had offers from Oklahoma, a couple other top programs, but elected to come to Cincinnati. So there's obviously very high praise for the true freshman there in Samaj Jones. But for Brendan Sorsby, he's a dual threat quarterback. And I mean, you saw what he was able to do last season in the Big Ten throughout his time at Indiana after solidifying the starting job there in about week 2 or week 3 after taking the job over down there in Bloomington. But you look at the tape for Brendan Sorsby, another guy who's about 6'2", 6'3", 220 pounds, can dual threat running, can run the ball as well, but he's got a cannon of an arm. And I think anybody who throws on the tape, you can see him. He's very well at his reads. He can really move the ball down the field. We saw it there in the spring game and even throughout spring football, was that he did a great job at controlling the offense and moving them down the field. So overall, it's going to be interesting to see how this battle plays out. But if it was to me right now, I think everyone's anticipating that Brendan Sorsby will be the starting quarterback for the Bearcats in 2024.
So it's basically Sorsman's job to lose. Is basically what you're saying at this
Yeah, essentially yes.
point. Okay. So next year might be the freshman's year. Who knows? Maybe he catches fire and gets a shot later on the season. But we should have a better quarterback play. Now you talked about just talk about a little bit more about the roster turnover. How you just mentioned how many guys are Bearcats now that weren't Bearcats last year. Does that, to me, that is good and bad. It's good to have to get, if you upgrade your talent, that's great. But if you have that many guys that have never played together, it takes a while to get them all on the same page. Where are we at on how many transfers we got and the talent wise, and just your thoughts on them coming together for the season?
Yeah, so the number of transfers is 27, and then the incoming freshmen is 21. So total of 48 new. But overall, I mean, you mentioned it there, Jeff, about the confidence and the illusion to get together with that many new individuals in the team. But something that Scott Satterfield and this team and this staff have done so well throughout off-season workouts is for anybody who has followed them on the social media, each week they do a group challenge, whether it's crew 1 through crew 6. I believe there's 6 crews. Right. And they'll post the winners each week. So it really is a competition that brings these guys together. And you see them all talking about it on social media and whatnot. So I think they're doing a great job on that aspect. They're doing these competitions with the new guys to get the Strong Shall Reign black T-shirt as well. So that's another new competition for the transfers or the new upcoming freshmen to really kind of earn their stripes there and get the recognition they deserve after having these great days in camp. But overall, you're looking at 48 new players, which is it's going to be interesting, but Jeff, 12 of them are coming in the defensive secondary. So, I mean, you look at the guys who could potentially step in there in that secondary, obviously alongside Jordan Young, you have a guy like Mekhi Miller from New Mexico State. You have Ohio State transfer Kai Stokes, who, if it was me, is probably going to see significant time back there at the safety position. Or Monty Arnold from Wyoming, or from Idaho, on that. Derek Canteen from Virginia Tech. So I actually asked Scott Satterfield this at the main stage at Big 12 Media Days. I said, you have 48 new scholarship players this season, 7 of those in the defensive back room via transfers. Talk about what you've seen from those guys like Mekhi Miller, Kai Stokes, or Monty Arnold, Derek Canteen. And he said, we struggled last year in the secondary. We gave up a lot of big plays. We were one of the worst teams giving up big plays in the country last year. We knew we had to shore up the back end. Those players that you mentioned that we brought in, most of those guys came in the spring, and we were able to get those guys through the first 15 spring practices and really learn the new defense and find positions for those guys. We feel like those guys have certainly helped us out, did not give up those big plays, and they'll help us go throughout the season. However, it is a new defensive scheme. We all had to learn it, including returning players, but also the guys we brought in. But I think in all, maybe 12 total new defensive backs when you count the freshmen and the transfers. But the new defense is now we're basically playing with 5 DBs, 3 safeties, and 2 high corners. Hopefully we'll put a much better product on the field to stop people there from the explosive plays. And that was a huge kind of talking point heading into this Big 12 Media Days, because last season, for those who remember, Cincinnati was top 5 in the country in terms of allowing big plays and explosive plays down the field. And I mean, you look at some of the games, the Miami of Ohio game, first play of the game, Gage Larvinain goes down for 80 on the first play over Justin Harris. And then Pitt, you got beat for a couple big plays. BYU, the big plays, explosiveness was something that really hurt Cincinnati last season. But now it looks like with the new defensive scheme and under Tyson Veit, who has had so much success within the Big 12 running this defense, it could be something that really plays to Cincinnati's advantage. Because for Tyson Veit, for people who don't know, his defense was rated top 4 in the Big 12 for the last few years. And UC struggled immensely versus the 3-3-5 there versus Iowa State this past season in their 30-10 loss to the Cyclones. So they've seen this defense firsthand there in the season. Now they get the opportunity to run it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out this season.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward because you keep bringing up all these games. I'm like, oh my god, I was trying to forget some of this stuff, but yeah, like the explosive plays, especially the BYU game. I remember we had an explosive play at the beginning where we got the lead, and then they did one like right back after us, like right before halftime, if I remember correct.
Yep,
and then
halftime.
And then we were never in the game after that again.
And then another game too you think of is the Oklahoma State game where they're down. I think it's 3 or 7 at the half, and then and then Ollie Gordon becomes Ollie Gordon and ends up running for 240 yards. And I mean, Ollie Gordon, there's a reason he's the best running back in college football right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a prime real estate of what he's capable of doing. But overall, I mean, I think this team is going to shock a lot of people in terms
I hope so.
in terms of where they were ranked in the Big 12 preseason media polls. I know they were ranked 14. Me personally, I did not vote them at 13. I have my ballot, and I did not vote them 14. I had them slightly higher. So I think they're going to solidify teams and really kind of prove a lot of teams wrong this season. But you're looking down, Jeff, at this Big 12 this season. I mean, 16 teams, it's going to be all over the place. I mean, number 1 and number 2 was a toss-up between Kansas and Utah. Kansas is a giant question mark depending on the health of Jalen Daniels, but it sounds like he's going to be relatively healthy. And then Oklahoma State, you have to throw up there in the top 4 at least because of the productivity from Ollie Gordon. I mean, despite Mike Gundy's absurd comments about what he said at Big 12 Media Days, which was actually crazy. He said, yeah, we'll just give him 50 carries in week 1 after getting arrested for a suspicion of DUI, which is still crazy. And then he was like, statement he made, I mean, that was a crazy instance as well. But then
he's been known to say some weird shit before, so that's nothing new.
He said something last year at Big 12 Media Days where he thought Cincinnati was on the East Coast, and we all were like, this just come out of him. But I mean, that was a crazy comment, and that's the thing that's got everybody talking because he brought Ollie Gordon out there to really kind of settle the arrest and really get ahead of the thing, and then he makes a comment like that, which I mean, you never really know. Could that make it take all the pressure off Ollie? Could it focus the pressure on him? You never know the PR move that could have actually been, but it was out of Mike Gundy, so you never know what's going to come out of Mike Gundy's mouth.
No,
unfortunately,
that is a fact. You never know what he's going to say. Now, Brad here wants to know, when does Camp Higher Ground start?
It should start the first week of August, late July, first week of August, from what we've been told.
And have you been there? Have you had the food? Because I heard the food is delicious.
The food is tremendous. Tremendous. Any opportunity you get to eat the food at Camp Higher Ground, we take it.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I always remember him talking about how good the food was. I'm like, really? I'm like, dang,
you hear it from a lot of people. A lot of players always talk about the food and stuff. Because there's a couple times people don't know. Like, you go in there after practice when the media is allowed to eat in there, and Jeff, it's a whole buffet. Like, you got a whole buffet, and it's like you got plenty of options. You're like, oh, that looks good. That looks good. And then you hear all the stories about what looks good, and you're just like, oh, I don't know what to grab. But yeah, the food down there,
grab all of it.
Is tremendous.
Well, to be fair, when I'm not part of the media, so when you go there, give me a little doggy bag and bring it to me. I'll try sometime. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's always fun. That's the thing that I always remember. Everybody always talking about is how good the food was. All right, so we talked about the defense. Let's get more into the offense here. We talked about quarterback. What about the running back room, wide receivers, tight ends? Where are we at on that, and how we look on those positions?
Yeah, I think overall, Jeff, the offensive side of the ball is in a much better standing than where it was last year, because for those remembering, heading after spring ball last season, we'll start with the wide receiver room. They only had 3 scholarship players in the wide receiver room after spring camp last year, and then they transitioned Evan Prater to a wide receiver in that process as well. Mm-hmm. So then they go in the offseason or the spring transfer portal cycle, they bring in guys like D. Wiggins, Braden Smith, Xavier Henderson, and then you're looking now at this side of the ball. You have Xavier Henderson returning, who was your leading receiver, had 58 receptions for almost 800 yards and 4 touchdowns.
All right.
So I expect teams to really kind of see Xavier Henderson as a true wide receiver 1 this year, but outside of Xavier Henderson, they didn't really get that much production outside of a couple other guys last season, like hit or miss. Like, I think the other closest receiver was maybe 400 yards. They utilized the tight ends a lot, but
that's why we had a hard time coming back in games last year. We didn't have any offense.
But they really relied on the running game last year. Which you look at the running back room from last year compared to this year, it's a much different turnover, because last year you had Miles Montgomery there behind Corey Kiner. He's now at UCF, and presumably he's probably 3rd or 4th on the depth chart at UCF from the things I've been hearing at UCF media, Big 12 media days.
You say Corey Kiner? You talking about Corey Kiner or Montgomery?
Miles Montgomery went to UCF. Corey Kiner is going to be the number 1 back here.
Yeah, okay. You scared me for a second there. I thought Corey Kiner was still in the Bearcats. All right, good. Yeah. Sorry.
Miles Montgomery will probably be the 3rd or 4th back down there in Miami, or down in Orlando with UCF, just because of the additions they had this season. they're returning their number one back in RJ Harvey. They go out and get one of the best running backs in the portal in the Penny kid from Toledo. So there's that. Miles Montgomery's probably sliding in at the number 3 role behind that. So it's going to be interesting to see his role with UCF. But the running back room, if Evan Pryor didn't get hurt at Ohio State, I think it would solidify him. He probably would have been the number 2 back behind Travion Henderson. And now you add him to a Bearcats room where Corey Kiner, everybody knows, he's going to be your power back. He's going to get you those extra hard-fought yards. He's going to be your run somebody over. And then you get 2 guys alongside him who, in Evan Pryor and Chance Williams, Chance Williams had a fantastic season at Grambling State last year under Hugh Jackson. So you add him to the fold this year, he'll probably be one of those guys, your pass-catching back. Evan Pryor will probably be your running back too, kind of another guy to come out and catch some passes. But Corey Kiner is probably going to be your bell cow, obviously looking to repeat another 1,000 yards there. But he even told us at Big 12 Media Days he's looking to get out there and really show what he can do in the pass rushing game. But now that we're talking about the running backs, I hate to change the topic. We got to talk about Corey Kiner's suit out there at
that was slick, dude. He looked good.
Louis Vuitton, dude,
I know.
Said he never wore anything like that, and said Vegas he had the one opportunity, and he did not disappoint with the fit. Have to give a shout out to that as well. But the offensive side of the ball, and then you turn the page to the offensive line. I mean, if you're Corey Kiner, you are fired up to be running behind an offensive line that's returning all 5 starters. And now that they have the depth at that position, you bring in a guy like Xavier Lowitzki out of Maine, who's done nothing but garner high praise throughout this offseason. And then you have another guy in Ethan Green, Jonathan Harder, 2 guys there that are fighting to really kind of solidify their spots as well and make a push at the starters. And then you have another guy in Judea Million there's this second string who is right there making a push, really pushing the number 1 group. So the depth at the offensive line is huge. Luke Kandra is probably one of the top 3 guards in the Big 12. I mean, obviously the rankings came out. He's the 91 in the new NCAA Madden game or new NCAA game. And for anybody who notices Luke Kandra from the West Side, if you follow us, he's an absolute unit. I think I was reading the media guy. He crushed out 33 reps of 225 the other day, apparently. So
damn.
Overall, I mean, you got him returning up there in the trenches. So, yeah, got to flex the muscles there for Luke Kandra. Also shout him out because he is getting married at the end of the month. So that's a big step in his life as well before football season kicks back up. But, man, if you're excited about the running game, you saw what they were able to do last year. They were 5th in the country in terms of rush yards per game at 217. You get an offensive line that's all returning, and then add the additions to the running back room. It's going to be really exciting to kind of watch that. I do think the run game will be part of the offense. But then you're looking at the wide receiver rooms. You have they brought in guys who have produced at a high level across all of college football. Jamoy Mays had a great year down at Tennessee Chattanooga, finished with close to 800, 900 yards. And then you bring in Tony Jefferson and Tyron Smith. Tony Jefferson comes from FAU. He had a great season last season, I believe close to 700, 800 yards as well. Tyron Smith, more of your slot kind of receiver, kind of like similar role to what they expect from Aaron Turner, about 5'8". But, man, is he shifty and he's quick. So if you get him in open space, good luck tackling him. That's how I'll describe a guy like Tyron Smith. And then Evan Prater poised for another big step in the fall camp heading there.
Is he healthy?
He is healthy. He was out a little bit of spring ball, but he is healthy now from what we were understanding. So he is looking to get back onto the field as well there at the wide receiver position. So that is going to be something that's going to be great to keep an eye on as well. But
so they're done with him trying to play quarterback. He's strictly going to be a wide receiver now?
Yeah, strictly going to be a wide receiver.
Okay.
And the biggest room of improvement for me on the offensive side of the ball is the tight end room.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Royer, first of all, 6'5", 255 pounds. I think that's going to be easy to say that's your number 1 tight end. And then you go in and you bring in guys. Joey Beljan, for those who remember, was going to be probably Scott Satterfield's number 1 tight end heading into the 2023 season, but suffered a torn ACL or meniscus. It was one of the two. I can't remember. He suffered a brutal knee injury before the 2023 right there in the opening practices of spring ball. That was a non-contact injury, so it kept him out all season. He is back healthy in the fold as well. And then you have a guy like Gavin Grover, a true freshman. Scott Satterfield alluded to him. 6'7", 260 pounds as a freshman.
Holy shit!
And
we got a six you say 6'6" tight end and a 6'7" tight end.
Yeah, so
Holy shit.
two big guys. And
Yeah.
The real question with Gavin Grover was he going to be a guy that they could really rely on him to put his nose down and go get you a block when you needed to in spring practice? That was the biggest thing they were asking for him. And the first day of spring ball, Jeff, he put his nose down and he ended up putting a defensive lineman right there for a big hole in the run game. And so that was the real question was he going to come in here and be one of those guys? Obviously, with the height and the hands, anytime you get a 6'7" tight end, you're like, oh yeah, that's a big red zone target. Let's go use him. But then when he's able to get his nose down and he can really put his helmet down and get you a block or two, that's terrific, because you're looking at the tight end room last season. Hate to say it, but that Miami game might end a little different if they get that block there on the field goal attempt.
Yeah, you think?
That block came through the tight ends and off the edge and didn't get blocked. He came in untouched and
completely untouched. Nobody even breathed on him. I was just like, what are we doing?
And
but yeah.
Overall, you're looking at this tight end room compared to last season's. Shimon Mateer transferred out to Colorado. He was all about going out there to be with Coach Prime. Thought he was going to have a good role with Coach Prime. Ends up only lasting 2 months there before re-entering the transfer portal, and he is now at Arizona State. Not sure what his role is out there at Arizona State right now, but he made the lateral move to go up to Colorado and stay in the Big 12 and ends up at Arizona State. But then Peyton Singletary enters the transfer portal. He takes a step down. He's now back in the AAC down at University of South Florida. So it's going to be real interesting there, that tight end position. I think that's the biggest upgrade for me on the offensive side of the ball, because, I mean, Joe Royer fully healthy as well. I mean, you saw what he was able to do in high school, was a big 4-star recruit, was poised for big things at Ohio State, and then some unfortunate situations happened that really knocked him back a step. But now he just got a fresh mind. He's really able to looking forward to embracing this opportunity here at Cincinnati, right here in his hometown. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this offense can put out on the field for sure.
Well, you definitely get me a little more excited about this. I mean, I'm always excited about Bearcat football. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was just so disappointed in the way last year. Not disappointed. It was just frustrating, Neil. There's so many games that we should have, could have won. I mean, I'll say that the same thing for the basketball team last year. So many games we should have won, and we didn't. So hopefully we're off to bigger and better things this year. Because, I mean, the thing is, this Big 12 is going to be even more competitive than it was last year because of the added teams that we have in there. Now, you got the schedule in front of you. You can run down what the home schedule is for people who don't know, may or may not know. And I'm sure you guys can get some tickets if they're still available. Which is I don't think the season's sold out yet. I know last year it was, but I don't think it's sold out just yet. Yeah.
But overall, to run down the schedule, your 3 non-conference games are: you open the season with Towson on August 31st at 2:30. Then you welcome in Pitt to Nippert Stadium on September 7th for a noon kickoff game. That's your big non-conference game. Then you go 40 minutes up the road to Miami of Ohio, which you got to bring back that victory bell.
Yes. Should have lost that one.
I'm sure there'll probably be more UC fans than Miami students.
There always is. There always is. Nobody goes to Miami football.
So, but then you get to the Big 12 play, and you kick off the season versus Houston, which was projected to finish dead last in the Big 12 media polls. I myself voted Houston as the worst team in the Big 12. So, but the number.
Don't they have a new coach this year too?
Yeah, they took Willie Fritz from Tulane after they fired Dana Holgerson.
Yep.
So, and then week 5 would be Texas Tech, but you have to travel to Lubbock. So everybody knows how crazy of a town Lubbock, Texas is. Mm-hmm. And then week 6 is your bye week. So week 7, they have traveled down to UCF for the trip down to the Bounce House, which everybody knows that is a rivalry. Gus Malzahn even admitted to that being the rivalry game. But that's going to be a game fans should circle right now just because of how many Bearcats transferred to UCF this past season.
Right.
John Pace transferred down there. I did ask about what he's looking forward to about that matchup, but he did say it was a lot of things he couldn't say right there publicly. So I'm assuming it's going to be a game that's circled and it's going to be looked at as a get-back game.
Yeah.
But then you have the Miles Montgomery, Brian Threats, who Deshaun Pace and Brian Threats were 2 starters a season ago and are expected to see significant time down there in Orlando as well. And then you follow that, you welcome in Arizona State to Nippert Stadium, which that will be a homecoming game for former Bearcats Justin Watley and Shimon Mateer. So that'll be a good, cool, interesting game to see. And then you go on the road to Boulder, Colorado on October 26th. And for fans anticipating to go to that game, it's already ruled a sellout. So if you can find tickets on third-party websites, I highly suggest you look now in advance because tickets won't be cheap. And it's not going to be a cheap trip out there to Boulder, Colorado as well to see primetime and
prime time,
and all that aspect and nature that comes around with the Colorado football program. And then you have West Virginia, who will be shocking a lot of teams after they did so last year. Iowa State, they welcome in Kansas State there in the second last game of the season, and then they close this season with TCU at home. So overall, the over-under on this team from many sports betting websites are 5.5 wins. I think this team's capable of doing that. I think they're capable of heading into Big 12 play 3-0 and maybe even starting 4-0. You get 4-0 versus Houston, depending on how that pick game go. That pick game could be your toss-up game. You never know what can happen there, but there's reasonable expectations and hope that this team could potentially start 4-0 heading into Texas Tech.
And 6 wins get you bowl eligible. So
Correct.
That's, to me, I honestly believe that we will be, and I always say we, I'm a Bearcat. I went there, I don't care. I'm a Bearcat, so I say we. We will be bowl eligible this year. I think we will get six wins. I don't know what bowl, but in the Big 12, you're going to go to a bigger name bowl. So what's your? I don't have a prediction, but I haven't got a chance to really break it down yet. But you're way you cover the team way more than I do. What is your prediction on the season as far as the schedule goes? Are we going to be bowl eligible? Are we going to be more than 6 wins? What do you think?
I definitely expect this team to be bowl eligible. I definitely expect it to be bowl eligible. Now, whether or not it's a 6-6 season or if it's a 7-5 or an 8-4, you never know. But I definitely expect this team to prove a lot of people wrong and really bounce back after last season and get this ship back on the right track to be bowl eligible.
So where do you have them finishing in the Big 12?
In the preseason media poll, I had Cincinnati at number 11.
11.
But so I had them higher than most other people. But overall, you're looking down at what this this schedule was really kind of all about. There's a lot of teams where you can pluck and you can choose all over the place. I know I had UCF right there at 7, but anywhere from 10 on down, it's kind of like this could be all over the place because you have Texas Tech, Colorado, Baylor, Cincinnati, Arizona State, BYU, and Houston all in the bottom half. And it's like, okay, where do we pluck and choose these teams? I think the top 4 is kind of solidified. Even if Kansas falls out, I think Arizona will still be up there as well. Because
I still find it funny they have Kansas up there. Just Kansas football, they've never been that good.
I think if Jalen Daniels didn't get hurt last season, Kansas would have been a little better. But now that Jalen Daniels is apparently fully healthy off the back injury that cost him the whole 2023 season, I mean, heading into the season, Jeff, he was rated your offensive player of the year.
Oh yeah, no, I remember all that stuff. It's just hard to Kansas to be honest. Basketball
doing a great job too up there, so it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of product they get there on the field. But obviously for Kansas this year, they don't have a home football stadium. I don't know if you knew this or not. They don't have a home football stadium. Their stadium's currently undergoing renovations.
Oh, really? Okay.
They'll be playing all their home games at Arrowhead, which is still pretty cool.
Do we play? We don't play Kansas this year, do we?
No.
Thank God, because I hate Burrowhead. And that's what you have to call it Burrowhead. And people are like, "Oh, don't call it that." I don't care. I'm always calling it that. But no, I didn't know. I did not know that. So who is Kansas the overall projected number 1 team in the Big 12?
Utah was actually the number 1 team projected. They beat Kansas State by 1 vote. Me personally, I had Kansas State, then Utah. But Utah, it all depends on what Cam Rising does. Obviously, he's back for his, I think, 6th, 7th year. They're at the quarterback position. So it's really going to depend on what Cam Rising does. If he stays healthy, Utah could be a top 2, top 3 school in the Big 12, but it all depends on what kind of play they get from him.
Right, exactly. It's gonna be fun. Like I said, I chomp at the bit for football season. I can't wait for college to start. I can't wait for the Bengals to start. I think, like I said, I think we have a very good chance of having a better season than we did last year. I think we're gonna be bowl eligible, and once you get that, then just keep stacking wins and keep moving up. And I am not completely soured on Satterfield. Look. You know as well as I do. He starts winning, everybody's going to forgive him. So that's the way it goes. I mean, he's got a lot of heat and a lot of hate. But like I said, you don't want to be the guy replacing the guy. So and then you don't have as successful of a season as we've been used to. But like I said, we moved into the Big 12. It's the best one of the best conferences in college football. It's a big step up in competition. And you got a new coach, and you came in late, and you didn't have all your transfers, and so he's got, put it this way, Sat has no excuse this year, to be honest. So I think it's going to be a good, fun season. Tell everybody about the multiple places you write and podcast for, because you got the front office, Bearcat Talk, Bearcat Blitz, what else? I'm forgetting some other ones. Just tell everybody where they can find your stuff at.
Yeah, so you can obviously find my work over at the Front Office News with JT Smith. You can find us over at Bearcats Talk with James Rapine and Russ Heltman, as well as you can find Russ and I. We're co-hosts of the Bearcat Blitz podcast. We actually just put out a new episode before I jumped on here with Jeff. So we got a new episode up and loaded for you guys today.
Got a special guest on that one?
Not on this week, but we had one last week as David DeJulius joined the show.
I know. You guys have been get some great guests. I'm like, damn, how do you guys get these? I want to get them.
And I'm sure we'll have a couple extra guests on the show coming up. Obviously, TBT's kicking off here in the next 2 weeks, so I'm sure we'll have some special guests on the show. I'm not going to name any names yet because they're still in the works, but overall, I'm sure we'll have a good time. As everybody who hasn't bought your tickets yet for TBT, go over to Cincinnati's website, get your tickets for TBT. That's pack out Fifth Third Arena and really run this thing back, because obviously anytime you get a team of Jaron Cumberland, Jacob Evans, Trey Scott is expected to be back. He's still playing. He just is over in Vegas playing in the Summer League currently. So Octavius Ellis, Nizier Brooks is back at Cincinnati as well for this run. So overall, a lot of great things to come from this TBT team. But overall, yeah, you can find my work at frontofficenews.com, BearcatsTalk.com, the Bearcats Blitz show on all mediums, and check us out over at the Riverfront as well.
Yeah, the TBT, the Nasty Natty did pretty good last year. That was fun watching those guys play. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Brad's got one more question here before I let you go here. I said, Neil, do you really think the ACC is going to end up like the Pac-12?
I don't think so. I really don't. It's kind of curious of what's going on right now. Obviously, there's a lot of rumors with Clemson, Florida State, or what might happen there. But the ACC, they just added multiple teams from the Pac-12. So overall, the ACC is back up to the 16 schools. So I really think it's still a Power 4. But if anything were to happen, I think it would come from schools like Notre Dame or the Clemsons that really could shift the conference alignment. I'm not really worried about what those two would kind of schools like that out of the Florida State or what aspect they're out of the ACC. I think those schools that are really something to keep an eye on are going to be the independent schools like a Clemson or a Notre Dame as well. Obviously, Clemson's in the ACC, but they're going to be a name that's been floated around quite a bit, or it's going to be curious to see what Notre Dame might do as well.
Exactly. Now, I'm curious. Now, is the Pac-12 really going with just two schools to kind of send that tongue-in-cheek? Is that what they're really doing?
It's still something that's very, very interesting to keep an eye on. I mean, obviously, they had their Big 12 media days in the Bellagio, where I was staying out in Las Vegas for the Big 12 media days, and they only had two teams there, and that was Eastern Washington and Oregon State. So it's very, very different compared to what your annual media days look like. And apparently, their commissioner started a statement and was like, "All right, we're the Big 12 or we're the Pac-12. We're going to be drinking tonight. We got plenty of time to drink," or something like that. So I mean.
Yeah, they got two teams. That's all.
Yeah, you only have two teams. So.
I thought for sure when this all happened last year that the Mountain West and whatever was left of the Pac-12 was going to merge, and it doesn't seem like the Mountain West wants anything to do with the two teams left over from the Pac-12 or taking on the name of the Pac-12. Which I don't know. That was to me, that was the logical thing to happen. But maybe we're just gonna have power four instead of power five. But either way, I'm glad the Bearcats are in the power conference because when we got left out the Big East when it split and we went to the AAC, it was rough because I was so looking forward to being in the Big East and have a chance to fight for championships and stuff. And now we have that again with the Big 12.
And you don't have to worry about going to an away basketball game with only 50 fans in the stadium.
Yes. Oh yeah, dude. My dream trip. I want to go to Allen Fieldhouse. I want to go there.
Oh, that was an incredible environment.
Especially I just want to go when the Bearcats play. I mean, other than that, I don't want to go just to go. The Bearcats have to be playing. I want to go watch them. But that would be a bucket list trip. I think would be awesome.
If you ever make that trip, Jeff, I will tell you this: they keep Allen Fieldhouse open 24/7. We were on game day. We were able to get in right after shoot around, maybe like an hour after shoot around when we got to campus. We were kind of just checking out the campus, and we're checking out the Hall of Fame. Their Hall of Fame is connected. Like, it's right here. You go through one hallway, like door to the bathroom or something, and you're basically on the court. So we got to do a whole tour of Allen Fieldhouse before the game even started, basically.
Did you grab a basketball and shoot on the hoop at all?
Did not, but we were able to get floor access and everything at Allen Fieldhouse.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's everything, yeah.
That's interesting to know. I will definitely keep that in mind if I ever get out there. Like I said, my bucket list would be go to Bearcat Kansas game and then hopefully go to a Chiefs Bengals game in Burrowhead. That would be a fun trip, and hopefully UC and the Bengals will win both of them. Either way, Neil, I appreciate you, man. We'll definitely have to get you back on closer to football season, and we got basketball season coming up. So, you know me, I love my Bearcats. So anytime you want to come on and talk Bearcats, I'm good with that.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, Jeff, for having me on. This was a blast. So anytime you need me on, just let me know. Shoot me a text.
Absolutely, brother. Take it easy.
Yep, you do the same.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Like I said, I cannot wait for Bearcat football season to start and basketball because I got to feel they were both basketball and football. We were so close to winning so many games last year. It was so frustrating, but that also gives you hope that this year will be better. So, anyway, thanks to Neil for coming on. Like I said, he got to go to Big 12 Media Day. He's doing a great job. Seriously, go check out his stuff at the front office. Watch the Bearcat Blitz. Check him out on Bearcat Talk. He's doing an awesome job covering the Bearcats. But thanks for watching. I've been live streaming on ZTV Online, YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm excited about this. I'll be doing my first ever pregame tailgate show at the Moorland Logger House for each and every Bengals home game. There will be a cost involved for this, but portion of proceeds go to the charity for that week, that game's week. You get delicious Moorland food, delicious Moorland beer, access to the new bourbon bar that will come in, access to the Bengals former Bengal players that we will have at the tailgate. It's going to be a blast. So we have so much fun on these shows. It's going to be that 10 times more. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be in the beer garden, which is on right on the first floor on the other side of the bar. It's going to be an absolute blast. Please make sure you guys tell your friends, tell your neighbors to come join us. As soon as I get full details, I will be glad to, tell you what they are. Choking up talking about it. But between now and then, just check out more on the Logger House, delicious food and beer. Also, East Siders and West Siders, drive. If you're in the West Side, drive 45 minutes. I'll tell you right now, get in your car. When I get done talking, get in your car, drive 45 minutes to 275, get off the Wards Corner Avenue exit. There's this really delicious chicken wing place called Midwest Best Barbecue. It's right there off the exit. Go there. Wait till I'm done with my show. Get on it. You don't have to speed. Get on the highway and head there. Tim and Nicole are awesome people. They know how to make delicious barbecue. Their pulled pork sandwiches are awesome. Go the third Saturday of the month, get their ribs. But if you just want chicken wings, get some CTB, some Uno, some G-Funk. Actually, you want the Midwest Best Barbecue. You can buy it. I mean, Greg likes to drink it for some reason. I don't understand, but Greg does a lot of weird things. Anyway, check out Midwest Best Barbecue. Also, if you're looking for any windows and doors, please check out Meyer Windows and Doors and more at www.meyercincinnati.com. I got them in my house. You should get them in yours. Give Matty Myers a call. We can talk some football. You can talk some windows. It's a great guy. Check him out. Also, Hail Mary is your ticket to the game right there in the heart of Cheviot. Big ass TV screen, beer specials, free parking, food trucks. It's a great little bar. please go check it out tonight. When the Reds will be starting here very, very soon. So you can go there and watch the Reds win again. They won a series. They won yesterday. Win today. That's called 2 in a row. That's a winning streak, boys. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back at it Monday with, I'm going to keep speaking to existence, soon to be Ring of Honor member, Clock Killing Corey Dillon. He's going to be on the show with me Monday, along with Bengals captain. Who knows? Maybe BSG will show up. Maybe Pork Chop. I don't know. You know how Monday's show goes. Actually, nobody knows how Monday's shows go because you never know what we're going to say. Throw it up. That's just sports, baby. See ya!